This is Appalling News, your most trusted source for fake real news. I'm Paul Chado. Just when you thought that academia could not debase itself any further, last week we reported that Columbia professor Jennifer Manley insisted that Alzheimer's was caused by racism, comes this eye-watering research article that proves we are at the end of times. Queer canine becomings, lesbian feminist cyborg politics, and interspecies intimacies in ecologies of love and violence by Chloe Diamond Lanau. You had me at cyborg. Of course, it comes from the Journal of Lesbian Studies, which means I'm probably not her type. Let's go through the abstract together. This article offers a queer, lesbian, feminist analysis. So it's not enough to just be lesbian, but a queer, lesbian, and a feminist. This is what we call the gender studies trifecta. Let's continue. Attuned to lesbian, queer, trans, canine relationalities. Wait, I thought it was queer, lesbian. Can you please keep them in the right order? And you've added trans because you can't just be gay anymore. And canine relationalities? Now we're intrigued. What kind of attuning is Chloe referring to? Doggy style? Specifically, the article places queer and lesbian ecofeminism in conversation with Donna Haraway's work on the cyborg and companion species to theorize the interconnected queer becomings of people, nature, animals, and machines amidst ecologies of love and violence in the 2020s. Of course, we know exactly what she's getting at here. Couldn't be more clear. But who is Donna Haraway? Haraway is an influential feminist scholar who trained as a scientist before turning to the philosophy of science in order to investigate how beliefs shape gender. Her most famous text remains The Cyborg Manifesto, published in 1985. Perhaps Haraway can make some sense of Chloe's abstract. Google tells us, as a material semiotic figure, Haraway's cyborg fuses feminist fiction and the Cold War military-industrial complex. Okay, that didn't help at all. If you guessed Haraway was a Marxist lesbian, you can go to the head of the class. Back to the abstract. It takes two key case studies as the focus for analysis. First, the state instrumentalization of dogs and robot dogs for racialized and imperial violence, and second, quotidian queer and lesbian dog relationalities and becomings. Now, this makes perfect sense, as the wife and I were good friends with a lesbian couple who had 6 Cavalier King Charles Spaniels and a Rottweiler that they slept with. We were sure the Rottie was a robot. Sorry, folks. We are going to continue with this fresh hell. In the first, the article traces how dogs are weaponized as tools of state violence and proposes a queer, lesbian, feminist critique of white supremacy and militarization that can also extend to a critique of the violence committed through and towards the dogs. We want to emphasize that we do not condone any violence towards dogs, but we would let the air out of this teacher's car tires. In the second, the article analyzes how within lesbian, non-binary, and trans dog intimacies, dogs help articulate queer gender sexuality and kinship formations, and as such queer worlds for gender sexual and kin becomings. Sorry, that's it. We no longer have any more brain cells to waste on this. Which begs the question, what kind of moron would actually want to attend Chloe's psychotic misery tour? As far as trans dogs are concerned, we most definitely have experienced bitches trying to hump this newsreader's leg. We also think that Chloe might be a bit too into her Great Dane's kinship formations. If there is any comfort to take from this nut job, is this student's review. Took this class for a diversity credit? The professor actively excludes people from class based on their gender or race, very rude outside of class, speaks unnecessarily loudly, so avoid an early morning course. We have also heard that Chloe conducts a yoga class where rather than breathing, she asks everyone to pant. Homeschool your kids, folks. To finish on a lighter note, we have this. Shakespeare's birthplace to be decolonized over fears his success benefits the ideology of white European supremacy. Shakespeare's Birthplace Trust wants to create a more inclusive museum experience and announced it will move away from Western perspectives after concerns were raised that Shakespeare's ideas were used to advance white supremacy. William Shakespeare's birthplace will be decolonized over fears that portraying his success as the greatest playwright benefits the ideology of white Europeans. Essentially, woke scholars fear teaching Shakespeare makes stupid people feel stupid. And we say, yes, let's give in to the morons so afflicted by their smartphone addiction that they can only stare blankly at their teacher, wondering why the class is longer than 2 minutes and why they can't swipe up for the next class. The Trust also promised to remove offensive language from its collections. This is all part of the wokeification of everything we hold dear, from Roald Dahl to Dr. Seuss. Experts claim that the Bard's plays are problematic for linking whiteness to beauty. We are certain these said same DEI experts are offended by African writers linking blackness to beauty and Indian writers linking brownness to beauty. In this age of utter madness, only those living in the West can't enjoy living in the West. We are being destroyed by Marxist fluffiness. The famous Museum of London has for years been on a woke tirade warpath to disavow any and all great accomplishments of the British Empire, lest it triggers groomers and drug-trafficking immigrants. Wouldn't want that. The Museum of London is criticizing people for living in the past. How dare they? Also, it was reported that a growing number of woke academics are refusing to teach Shakespeare in U.S. schools, arguing that the Bard promotes racism, white supremacy, and intolerance, and instead are pushing for the teaching of modern alternatives such as Antony and Cleopatra, Veganlet, the Influencer of Venice, Ramona and Juliet, and 2 drag queens of Verona. And what happens when everything the woke deem problematic is fixed? What will they create to take the place of Shakespeare? Sweet fuck all. This has been Appalling News, and that's the way it is.